Good evening. It is the Day Trippers. It is the club on a Monday night. The Monday that Liverpool should have been prancing around Brighton and Hove Albion, parading, strutting their stuff. But it was not to be. That was in a parallel universe. We're brought to you by the Pitchball Football Fan app, giving the fans a voice. Get your free download on the App Store and Google Play Store. Tonight we will be talking about the World Cup 2002 that was played in South Korea and Japan. Tonight with myself, Ray, I've got Keith. How's it going, Keith?
Good, Ray. Yourself?
Oh yeah, not too bad. Still managing with this lockdown. And yourself, Gar?
Good, my friend. Very, very good. Done 5K in 5 minutes there, just 2 minutes ago.
Oh, excellent.
Do the mathematics there, lads.
I like it.
5 lines a K, probably.
Never happens.
And you might have just heard them there, Seany. We've got one of the Lawsons on, so that ups the quality straight away. How's it going, Seany?
It's 5-star now. Dicko. Oh, good, mate. Hanging in there. Good to not about human contact, but just good to hear familiar voices again.
Absolutely, yeah.
This is it, yeah.
Good to have you on, Seany. So, look, it is. We are still waiting for Liverpool. We are still craving a bit of football, but we'll have to make do with the latest in our series of looking back at the World Cup. And, looking back at this myself over the last sort of couple of days, this World Cup in 2002, it just reminded me, first of all, it kind of ties in with a period in my life not long after I'd met my what was to become my wife in 2002. And I distinctly remember some of the early starts that this World Cup necessitated. It was a bit of a pain in the arse, really, but I suppose we all acclimatized to it fairly quickly. This World Cup really, I guess, if we get stuck straight into the first game, this was a World Cup that got off to a major shock with France and Senegal. And France going into that first game as massive favourites. And Keith, this was Senegal announcing themselves on the world stage.
Yeah, it was. It was a mad out game. France had gone in, obviously the defending champions. A lot of the squad that had played in '98 was still there, and then a couple of them that dropped out. The likes of Deschamps was gone, replaced by Vieira. Larry White was gone. LeBouf was in there. You know what I mean? So they still had quality coming in, but there was a bit of talk about Senegal because a lot of them are French based and didn't know what to expect from them, and obviously we got played and hoodwinked then by
Salif
Diao and El Hadj Diouf. Did we announce the Diouf deal before the World Cup? I think we did, didn't we?
It was one of them. I
think Diouf was before it and Diao was after, because Diao gets a blatant cracker in this World Cup. We might have been stung with him on that one. But it was an interesting one. I think Zidane was injured. Zidane, I think, only comes back for France in the last group game. So it was a bit of a weird one. And to go in and just be absolutely shy because they were muck, France were. I was watching the highlights of this one earlier. My God, they were fucking brutal.
Yeah,
and Senegal were the surprise package,
Yeah, Papa Bouba Diop, who we got to know later down the line with quite a few Senegal players. Obviously, the two Liverpool players who you mentioned there, and I think we were all, seeing El Hadj Diouf in this World Cup, we were all pretty excited by the prospect of him coming to Liverpool, weren't we?
Oh yeah.
Who do we get him from? Who do we sign him from?
Was it
Lons
Lons
or something like that?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, Lawrence, yeah, and he had scored quite a few goals for them.
And that's we were trying to plug a gap then as well at that stage, weren't we? Because Fowler was starting to really drop off then at that. The reason why this World Cup really stands out to me was I think it was the year before Liverpool won all the trophies.
Yeah,
I start really paying attention to football then at that stage, you know. And of course, it was the first time where Ireland had qualified for a tournament, so I got to actually see the buzz going around. Now, obviously, I was alive in '94, but none the wiser, you know.
Yeah.
So I just remember the buzz, like everyone hanging the buttons out of the gaffs and everyone painting the roads and the green, white, and orange, and houses being green, white, and orange, and fucking knockoff pennies, Korean, Japan jerseys, and all the whole lot. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So just, I mean, Seany, seeing as you've kind of linked us into to Ireland, if we bounce across to Ireland's group, obviously they were drawn in the same group as Germany, and then there was, minnows in Saudi Arabia. So in some ways, this was always going to boil down to whether Ireland could beat out Cameroon in terms of qualifying. I mean, do you recall what the level of kind of expectation was around them? Whether Ireland had made a habit of getting out of the group in the previous World Cup?
Yes, I would have been 10 at the time of that World Cup, so I wouldn't have been I wouldn't have been as tuned in, obviously, as my older brothers. But I just remember the week before the tournament started, the whole country was rocked by the news that Roy Keane wasn't going to play for Ireland in the World Cup due to a big falling out in the camp. And obviously we know that to be the Saipan incident now. So we were rocked. I think it was a day before the actual tournament started. I think we kicked off then a couple of days later. But that was a massive, massive blow because Roy Keane was one of the most dominant midfielders in the world at that stage. He was he was back from a bad injury a couple of seasons previous at United, but he was playing some of his best stuff, and he put on one of the best individual performances I think anyone's ever put on in an Ireland shirt at Lansdowne Road against the Dutch. And I think I think we played Iran in a qualifier, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I think Keane missed the away leg, but someone was saying there was nothing wrong with him, and it was down to Alex Ferguson telling him he didn't want him to play and stuff like that. So everyone has their own opinion and story on what happened in Saipan, but the main takeaway is just how much we missed out, because I remember the early kickoff against Cameroon. I remember Matty Holland's goal. One of my very first early football memories of an Ireland team, and thinking, Jesus, this is great, like the whole country's buzzing. And then we ended up, we'll obviously get onto a further down the line, but we ended up in the favourable side of the draw in the World Cup, and a Roy Keane sized hole in the midfield. Who knows? Like, you know what I mean? We could have ended up in the semi-final against fucking South Korea.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll get onto it. There's relative minnows who get all the way to the semi-finals in this World Cup, and there was opportunity knocks for quite a few teams the way the draw pans out. Gar, obviously you're a little bit older and wiser than Seany. What were your memories of the expectations and the whole Roy Keane?
For me, I suppose the Irish squad thing was the first of our golden generation that were coming through, with the likes of Dunn, Keane, and Duff of them, right, coming from that sort of one of them golden sides that had won a youth tournament. So it was obviously big for us. An emergence of who I thought was a fantastic player, just never went on to do that major. But Stephen Reid to me always stood out. I thought he was a magnificent player, so much energy. Obviously, injuries hit him badly later on, but he just always seemed to have a good game, especially for Ireland as well. one thing that stood out, I don't know, we'll probably touch on this going through, was this was a real development side for a few countries. Like France, obviously, were going through a transition. Ireland as well have obviously a lot of lads coming from a young side as well. You've England as well, who has, if you want to look at it, the start of their golden generation coming through as well, and then Brazil, who have been poor in previous, really step up to the plate in this with a lot of younger lads coming into the squad. Obviously, me and Seany have a little likely love for Ronaldo, but this is where we really started to see him on the world stage. And we'll talk about that goal versus your lot, right, in a while. But no, it was a real transition for countries in regards of talent coming through from their youth sides, if you want to call it. Germany as well have started their transition because did a hell of a lot of older lads playing in previous World Cups. So it was a real transition for European countries all around in regards of what they were doing. I think Clairefontaine was just about to close as well in France, so it was huge there as well. As you see, they've obviously a stinker of a World Cup that year. So that's obviously for me. I started off coaching very, very young, but for me that was the real learning point of there was a lot of younger lads coming into a lot of these World Cup sides.
Yeah, I mean, just you touch on England's exit, but England really were kind of drawn in the group of death, really. They at this point, Sweden were kind of old foes, Argentina were old foes, and Nigeria were as on paper the fourth. I'm sure they would have come out of pot four. Were by no means a pushover when you compared it to some of the other teams that would have come out of that pot. I mean, from my perspective, I remember again the expectation as usual was very high under Sven. But if you look at I remember us talking about the England team from France '98 and the quality from top to bottom. But if you look at this England side who start that game against Sweden, my God, there's a few ropey characters, isn't there?
I'm just looking at the defenders in the squad now. You've got Wayne Bridge, who at the time was at Southampton. You have Wes Brown, who was obviously really starting out at United. Then Campbell obviously had a majorly good tournament. I remember because I think he ends up in the squad. They had the final tournament. Ashley Cole was obviously flying at the Gunners.
Danny
Mills starts a few of these games, if we recall.
Starts all of them. Yeah. And he was muck as well.
Obviously Southgate, and then you've got Keown in there as well. So and obviously Rio. So you've a bit of a mix in there, haven't you?
Yeah. And then in the midfield, Owen Hargreaves, who I think he was still playing in Germany at that stage, wasn't he?
That's right, yeah.
It was a really alien concept for England fans to be watching a player that we'd never really seen an awful lot of at club level because of the fact that he wasn't playing in England. And then you had Emile Heskey getting a regular game, and Darius
Vassell.
Gerrard was injured, was he?
Johnny, he got. I think if I recall, Ray might be able to confirm this, but that was when we played Ipswich, and when I thought we were actually going to sign Anelka because he comes on the scores in that game. But I remember being in that sort of to the paddocks to the right hand side and seeing him walk, and he got injured, Johnny, in that game again. We absolutely mauled Ipswich in that final game, and he gets injured, comes off quite early in the game. I think it was about 6 or 7-0. But I remember looking at Anelka coming on that day and going, Jesus, this lad, I hope we saw him. And obviously, as you've spoken about, that all went to the wind.
Yeah, Gerrard was injured, and but even so, I'm
looking there as a shite midfield.
Yeah,
squad is
terrible.
terrible.
World Cup, they have like it'd be stacked. They have real quality there with Beckham and Scholes, but Joe Cole was a very young lad at the stage as well. Trevor Sinclair, Kieran Dyer,
getting minutes. I mean, we were talking about how Steve McManaman couldn't get any real game time in the previous tournament.
It's a good point there, Ray, isn't it? Because we went through the squad about France '98, and everyone in the England squad, it was quality.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the ones here, and you'd like Danny Mills 7 caps, Ashley Cole 8 caps, Trevor Sinclair 5, Wes Brown 6, Wayne Bridge 5, Owen Hargreaves 6, Joe Cole 6, DeRoyce Vassell 5, David James 9, Kieran Dwyer 9. Very inexperienced squad they had going into this. Now, you talk about the start of the golden generation or whatever, because there is a tranche of them there. Ashley Cole, Rio Ferdinand, Saul Campbell, Beckham, Scholes. He doesn't last too much longer after this. Owen, Gerrard isn't there. But, there is a group of them that do want to form the supposed golden generation, but there was a few holes in this squad. There really was, from other World Cups that we've gone through.
Just qualified by the skin of their teeth, literally last kick of the game, wasn't it?
Toxed, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, they get themselves out the group, but we'll get on to that in a little while. We'll just spin through the groups, because there was some kind of quite surprising outcomes compared to what you would have had on paper before if people were given their predictions. Group A, Denmark and Senegal go through. And Uruguay and France are dumped out.
The group looks like it's upside down.
Yeah.
Like completely upside down. France lose the opening game, Uruguay lose the opening game, so that each of them are up against it. Then a couple of draws do sort of nobody any favours. And come the last game, Denmark beat France 2-0. France go out of the tournament without even scoring a goal, which I can't imagine anyone predicted. And then in the last game, it's probably the most interesting game in that group. Senegal are leading 3-0 at half time, and Uruguay mount an almost amazing comeback in the second half, end up drawing the game 3-3. Forlan comes on as a substitute and gets one of those goals, but ultimately they don't get that fourth goal that would have taken them through. And it is upside down. I mean, Senegal get through. I mean, I remember it was a massive shock.
As you said, for the defending champions not to score a goal. Like, it's the only time I think it's ever happened, is it?
Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah, 100%. Now, Group B, a little bit more of a predictable look about it. Spain are one of the teams that go through with 3 wins out of 3. You've got Paraguay, who qualify out of that group. They finish level on points with South Africa. Slovenia get no points. Interestingly, in that last game, South Africa are playing Spain and Slovenia are playing Paraguay. And it's Paraguay who go through by virtue of scoring a third goal with 6 minutes to go, which takes them through on, I think it's goals. It's goals scored, actually. The goal
scored, yeah.
1-4, yeah.
Yeah, so South Africa actually, they put up a decent performance in that tournament. I mean, we got to see, some players again who would have become familiar.
Some players on that side as well. Red Davey was on the side, wasn't he?
McAwain.
Benny McCarthy was probably with Ajax at the time, was he?
Yeah, Benny McCarthy was.
Quinton Fortune.
Yeah, Quinton Fortune, which when I looked at Quinton Fortune, I was amazed at how long he was actually at United. I didn't realise he was there for so long. I mean, he was there for 7 years.
What's your man's name? Played for Leeds. Was he still there? Lucas
He was.
Yeah, he was the captain, yeah.
Yeah, he was the captain.
He was a decent player, actually.
He was.
And a half him.
Yeah, fully enough, he actually, both Benny McCarthy and Radibi score against Spain. At one point, the 2-2 with Spain. But Raul gets the winner and ultimately South Africa go out, but they certainly weren't disgraced, getting 4 points. So then we go on.
This was, before we move on, this was one of the last great Spanish teams that were on paper looked the business and ended up shitting the jocks at a tournament. Yeah. I was looking at the team that they had. Yeah, but when you look at their team, like you go through for it, I'm looking at one match here: Casillas, Puyol, Hierro, Nadal, Juan Fran, Luis Enrique, Baraka, Valeron, Raul, Diego Tristan, Morientes comes on, Xavi comes on. Like they had a cracking squad. Mendieta.
This is the real change for them, Keith, isn't it? Yeah, when all their lads really got toughed out here.
Yeah, really was. And you can see the younger. What I always put it down to was the switch maybe from a Real Madrid centric team to a Barcelona team was when the change sort of happened for them. And this was the start of it. Yeah, I was looking at that team. I'm like, how did they not play and win that? But then we'll talk about what happens to them later on as well.
Yeah, I mean, Spain just were, at that point following what they'd done tournaments in, tournaments out. Always a threat, always, flattered to deceive.
Valencia, one of the real top European sides at that stage as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
They had some massive wins in the Champions League around that time. Then you had a few smaller Spanish sides who were making an impression, weren't you? Outside
Deportivo as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, Deportivo.
Diego Tristan.
Yeah, Tristan playing was
fucking hell. I'm looking at the squads here, and it's kind of mad because the order I'm looking at them in has Spain and Brazil. And this is kind of like, this would have been like sort of a change in the guard, so to speak, because that the Brazil team in this competition were the last kind of samba Brazilian team that we've ever seen, really. Obviously, I'll get on to that, but when you think about it, like, it was mad, really.
Yeah, I mean, Brazil are in Group C with Turkey, Costa Rica, and China, and obviously both Brazil and Turkey end up in the last four, and we're essentially on course for a rematch in the final. If you look at that first game, Brazil beat Turkey 2-1. Rivaldo with a late penalty. Ronaldo scores. Rivaldo scores. Yeah, if you just read that team from top to bottom.
Rivaldo got a ban after that game as well, didn't he?
Yeah, for the red card for Hakan Unsal, wasn't it?
Yeah, took the ball at him. Yeah,
went down holding his face.
Yeah, fucking like that Brazil team, like Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, looking at the team, I mean, you'd even Juninho playing centre mid for them with Gilberto. The Middlesbrough Juninho, not the bleeding Leon one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, my Jesus. Lucio with Mielsen. Like, Mielsen as a centre back was unreal as well. Like, a proper ball player. You had Cafu and Carlos on the bleeding wings.
Unreal.
And then all the oars up front.
Was this the Nike Airport ad, was it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, what an ad.
And then that's one thing that I want to actually say something. One thing I remember about this World Cup was like the build up, the advertising, and all of the kind of merchandising that went away. Because remember, that was the famous now, the Adidas Predator boots were brought out for that World Cup specifically.
Yep.
And I remember all of the campaign and done around that, and just the buzz for the fucking World Cup was mental.
Yeah, it was
mental. And then you have obviously the story in '98 with Ronaldo then, and it was his kind of big redemption. And we seen him in the first game, and he looked as fit as he ever did, like sharp as a tack.
Yeah, I was I just on a slightly different note. I was watching some of the old Champions League games that were on. Showing on the telly the other night, and the Real Madrid Man United second leg,
the hat-trick.
Jeez, Ronaldo.
Ronaldo. I mean, my God, That must have
from in another planet, wasn't he?
Yeah, it must have been an absolute privilege to be. As much as I'd hate to be at Old Trafford to watch him doing his stuff on a night like that. Would have been one time as a Liverpool fan. I wouldn't have minded being at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
Lads, you would have been obviously a little bit older than me at that stage, but like I remember being mesmerised by Ronaldinho at that tournament, and I never even heard of him. Was there much known of him going into that tournament?
Yeah, he was known, but no, he was about to explode, wasn't he? Like, he was at PSG at that stage.
He was still at PSG. He played, I would say, less than 60 games for PSG, did he?
Yeah, that's probably about right. He didn't play that much for them, and they weren't the PSG that they are now either. Like, it was, it was a different beast. But he was known, I think, had come up. One of these, the next big thing. But they had Ronaldo there, they had Rivaldo, so he was talked about. But maybe it was a bit of a surprise come this World Cup.
And he came from Lucas Lieveland, didn't he?
Gremio.
That's
right. Yeah,
a 20-year-old Kaká as well was in that squad.
Yeah. But even Juninho, was fairly high profile in England because of he'd had the exposure playing for Middlesbrough and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, Ronaldinho was kind of in the shadow of a few players prior to that tournament. But yeah, Brazil, we'll obviously speak more about them as this goes on. Brazil and Turkey get out. I mean, Turkey, they finish on the same number of points as Costa Rica, and they go through on goal difference, with Costa Rica getting a 5-2 hammering in the last game against Brazil, and Turkey beating China 3-0. Meaning they go through on goal difference. Group D, another group which you may say was upside down come the end. You had South Korea, who probably no one considered. You had the US, who, having hosted the tournament sort of 8 years earlier, they really did kind of blossom in this World Cup, and they go through. And the two teams that get dumped out are the two European teams, who people probably would have fancied to do more, Portugal and Poland.
The players look to the captain looks to the manager, and the manager looks to you. It's time to be heard. Pitch is the new app that gives football fans the voice you deserve. Get your views sent straight to media pundits, commentators on the club you love. From dodgy penalties to rating match performance, make your opinion count.
The manager's looking to sub him off, and the fans agree.
Download the Pitch app for free today. Be heard.
Yeah,
Portugal's side had the beginning of its sort of a super team, didn't it? And it was. I think they were getting slightly old at that stage.
Yeah, that was the sort of the end of their golden generation. Nearly, it was not the end, but they'd been around for a couple of years, similar to Spain. I think they were always high expectations.
Was he with Barca at that stage?
He would have been, yeah. Well, maybe not at that stage. I probably was actually, yeah.
He played for us, didn't he?
Yeah.
Jorge Couto, the centre half. He was
Fernando Couto, yeah.
Rui George, Paulette. You see, it was a lot of older, and then Nuno Gomez was a younger boy at that stage.
Yeah,
Jordan.
Sergio Conceição. They had Paulo Bento. They had a good team, you know what I mean. And of course they had Figo as well. So they had a superstar, and they had a much better team around Figo. Obviously, you have Rui Costa, who's a superstar as well. But you look at what they never done with that squad. And then you have the later Portuguese, the Ronaldo version of Portugal, and they didn't have as good a squad, but they seemed to.
They were tactically spot on.
Yeah, they were. That's it, and that's what always let them down. This other team, you know what I mean? They were a cracking team. They were always ones that you'd look at and go, "These could do something." Never fucking did.
Yeah, and the USA had some players that was
Landon Donovan.
would become kind of household names, really. I suppose you had.
He was quite young then, Seany, wasn't he? About 22, I would say.
I'm just saying there, he was voted the young player of the tournament.
He was,
quite young.
Claudio Reina was I think he was at Sunderland at the time, maybe. I remember him being a decent player as well.
Yeah, you had Brian McBride.
Brian McBride.
Brian McBride was in Germany, I think, at the time.
Played for Fulham. Brad Friedel in goal. Eddie Pope is someone who I seem to remember.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I can see there Eddie Pope.
The Marcus Beasley, a few familiar names, you know.
Yeah,
John O'Brien, he's a postman in Tala, isn't he? Only joking.
But they were sort of a surprise package, weren't they? Like that group threw up to them. I'm just saying there, like the career, the coach of South Korea was who.
Yeah. I know who this was. It was your man.
Gus Hiddink.
Gus Hiddink. Yeah.
This side, Seany, at that stage, that South Korea, that side, it was really, they were always known to be, very, very fit. But I think this tournament, we really saw them come through technically as well, and tactically astute as well.
They had a shed load of decisions go that way as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, two major dodgy ones that I recall, in the later stages.
Yeah. I'd say Gus Hiddink is still trying to spend the money he earned at that world.
But it does just go to show, a host nation can be swept up, because one of the overriding things I can remember from this World Cup was the crowd were going fucking apeshit for South Korea.
Yeah.
And Japan as well, but more so South Korea, I felt. The crowds were fucking wild.
Yeah, I tell you a funny story. I spent a bit of time in Australia, and I was out there in 2005 in Brisbane watching a game, and it was actually Ji-sung Park's one of Ji-sung Park's first games, and a load of South Koreans rocked up and were going absolutely mental for the fella. I'd never seen anything like it. He actually hit the bar in that game, and you should have seen them, when he almost scored. They almost wet themselves there and then. They were just the South Koreans, such fanatical supporters when it comes to their players, and it was really kind of, for them it was all brand new. So they get out the group. You then get on to Group E, which was the Ireland group. So let's go into this in a little bit more detail. So first game, obviously Ireland draw with Cameroon. Matty Holland gets the goal. They were obviously 1-0 down at half time.
Webbo, was it? If I'm right.
Yeah,
Webbo.
Mbomia, wasn't it? The forward.
Bomber, yeah, Patrick and Bomber actually who scored, yeah. Just looking at their team, obviously they have Samuel Eto'o in there, Lauren, Rigobert Song is playing, and
Flowey.
The unfortunate Foe was playing in that game as well. We kind of knew it was kind of a different generation of Cameroon players, but they were certainly, to be feared. So getting the 1-1 draw, by all accounts, in the first game, and obviously Germany beat Saudi Arabia 8-0. It really shaped up nicely for that second game, didn't it? Germany against Ireland. Any recollection, any memory, any vivid memories from that, lads?
The thing that stood out for me with that World Cup was the timing of the games. So, you would be going to have your lunch at 1 o'clock, and all three games would have already been played.
Yeah,
So,
that Cameroon game was on at like 8 o'clock in the morning or something on
I
Saturday
think
morning.
it was a 7 kickoff on a Saturday morning.
Yeah,
So
pretty sure this game was a Saturday morning because I
Saturday
mentioned
morning. Yeah,
I mentioned
so
we watched this in bed, so it wasn't unusual to be watching some of these games of a weekend in bed before you even started. So this one was a Saturday morning, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember what after each game, because like as a kid you're just hoovering up football, so you'd watch the morning game, you'd go out and there's a little green across the road from my house, and we'd literally be in it during each game, and then they'd be out there for the whole. So that whole summer we just played and watched football for the whole thing, and it was mental because like you say, when Ireland make it to a World Cup, it's bleeding nuts. But the 5th of June, I remember my brother Paddy was going. I remember this so vividly, it's nuts. My brother Paddy, I think he would have been doing his junior cert at the time. And we were 1-0 down against Germany. And Steve Finnan plays the ball down the channel over the top. Robbie Keane, fucking the rest is history. And I just looked out the window and still seeing Paddy going out the school. And I was shouting out to him, Paddy, 1-1 out the top window in the house. And I nearly fell out the fucking top window in the house. Fucking everyone on the road going mental and all. It was deadly. It was fucking unreal.
Yeah. Any other memories, lads, from that particular day?
Yeah, it was much the same. The place everywhere was just fucking bedlam, and it was weird looking at them. Or again, like this World Cup, you're talking early morning, midday games and all that. It was just madness. That game, that particular one, the Germany one, yeah, like that. You're watching it, and Germany. I don't think it was a great German squad. I think they were coming. I think Gary, you might have said it, they were coming to the end of their cycle, and they actually ripped up their book after this World Cup and sorted themselves out. But they were 1-0 up, and we were always in with a chance. And that was the thing with Ireland. We said it in other World Cup shows. You know, we usually go to these things, and what was it? We only won 2 games in the World Cup before this, was it? We were in 2 World Cups, and we don't fuck all. We only scored 2 goals or something in 2 World Cups. So, but we always felt we had a chance, you know what I mean? That's the thing with Ireland. So, going into that, what's it, 92nd, 93rd minute when we get the equaliser?
Yes.
You know, you still felt you had a chance. Where I was watching it in a pub somewhere, and it wasn't, you just wouldn't take your eyes off it, you know what I mean? You were glued to it just in case. You knew something could happen, and that was the way. It's similar to Liverpool, you know what I mean? You always think something can happen here, and that's the way Ireland were when it came to World Cups back then.
Yeah, I remember watching it and thinking, again, like thinking to myself, you know, you have to keep watching this right to the end, because you just started to get a feeling that maybe there was some, you know, the longer the game went on and it was 1-0, that there would be an opportunity for Ireland to you know, grab an equaliser, and obviously they did.
And the thing is, it's the most Ireland goal ever. Like, the similarities between that and Shane Long's goal against Germany in the Aviva are fucking nuts. It's just route one over the top and just getting on the end of it, and that's what we done best on that Mick McCarthy. Like, we are just a fucking horrible team to play against, and there was quality there. Like Gar said, this was probably our golden generation, so to speak. Like, Damien Duff was ripping her up in England at that stage.
Yeah, true.
And just that in the context of the group, that ended up being a massive result for us.
Yeah, and
I remember that game hugely, lads, and Seany's just touched on something there about the Irish hard work ethic. Germany played 3 in the middle that day, and I remember Matt Holland and Kinsley being absolutely tremendous against that 3 that day. Now, in fairness, they were, you know, it was a dogfight. Don't get me wrong, there was no smashing football being played in the ground in centre mid. But them 2, you know, they really dominated them 3 players. And it was 3 good German players. They got Hamann there. You've got Ballack there as well. And Thorsten Frings, who was a bleeding workhorse as well back in the day.
Not only that, on the right then they had Bernd Schneider as well. And he'd always dropping into the middle as well. It's not like he was a winger, you know what I mean? He was always coming in a buzzsaw around the midfield. So it was a really tough tough midfield to sort of do.
Because Ziga would always stay very wide, Keith, wouldn't he? And he'd always look to exploit a lot of space wide, because he was very good with his left foot.
Yeah.
He was that little bollocks that played for them. He was like a fucking wasp. But he's like one of these. Do you ever see when you see these World War II films and they show like a little rotten Nazi fella, like a little with the Ronnie and all? Can't remember him.
Ian Jeremis, was it?
No, Oliver Neuville.
Oliver Neuville,
yeah,
that's
a little
sleeving, little looking fucker, yeah.
Sleeving bastard. I remember him, yeah.
He scores in one of the games, doesn't he?
Yeah, he did a decent tournament. Actually, one thing we haven't talked about in this that German side is that was like Miroslav Klose. That was his coming out party.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All over his fucking head as well, wouldn't he? Or something.
Yeah, like he's still the record holder, isn't he?
For the total goals or something.
Total goals across tournaments, yeah, he may well be.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, him and Karsten Yank are up front like two big stockings of shite. Like you can tell what they were trying to do, you know.
Yeah. And be a hot bench.
It nearly walked.
Yeah. So, I mean, funnily enough, as it turns out, because Cameroon beat Saudi Arabia 1-0, and then the way that the final games play out with Cameroon losing 2-0 to Germany and Ireland winning 3-0 against Saudi Arabia, actually, in hindsight, Ireland still would have gone through even if they'd lost that game 1-0. But look, you can't take those moments away, like Robbie Keane scoring that 92nd minute goal away. But look, I mean, the last game against Saudi Arabia, I presume I'm gonna make a guess here, but this is Ireland's biggest ever World Cup victory, I presume.
Yeah,
3-0,
yeah, isn't
it?
Yeah. I always remember Duff's celebration. That's what stands out to me. Remember he done the bow down to the crowd.
Yeah.
That's right. That's one thing that always stands out to me about that game.
Yeah, so Robbie Keane with an early goal.
Gary Breen.
Gary Breen with the second.
How did you celebrate, Gar?
Well, I was delighted me after I scored, to be honest with you. Started drinking. No, I'm joking.
You could have told us you're your cousin or something, mate.
Come here, didn't McCarthy do something mad in this game? Didn't he bring like a defender off really early and stick Noel Quinn on?
Ian Hart.
At half time. Yeah.
Ian Hart went off.
I remember that off the top of my head, being a mad tactical change.
Now, in saying that, he played Gary Kelly in midfield, so maybe, I don't know, we moved him back because we were playing, Finnan was playing right back in this tournament for Ireland, but Kelly was playing in front.
On the right wing, I'd imagine.
And Kelly might have been something along those lines. Kilban was playing on the left-hand side, so unless Kelly went back to left back, I don't know. Or Finnan could have gone over, or Kilban might have gone back, I don't know. But yeah, it's a mad one. Like, it's not an Irish thing that you'd expect to see. A defender
scoring 3 goals.
Yeah, scored 3 goals.
Jesus, let us have a moment, Dicko, with it.
It's a big moment, and to be fair to Ireland, you know, that it's the 3rd World Cup that, you know, they get out of the group. But safe to say, none of the Saudi lads made it into the Premier League.
They got straight onto building stadiums and bleeding hotels in Dubai after that game.
Yeah.
So back to the day job for the boys. So Group F was England's group. So look, Argentina.
Jesus Christ, that's some Argentina team.
Argentina beating Nigeria in the first game. England against Sweden was 1-1, which, you know, I remember at the time. I think England went 1-0 up, Sol Campbell scored. Sweden equalised in the second half. I remember at that time, you know, we kind of decided we'd take that and take our chances thereafter. I think going into the Argentina game, I think it was felt that we definitely owed Argentina one, and we definitely deserved probably a bit of better fortune than the previous two games. And look,
that was Beckham, wasn't it? Penalty.
Yeah. It was the story of Beckham's redemption. I mean, Argentina still have, the shite bags playing: Simeone, Batistuta,
Zanetti, Pochettino, Ortega, Samuel, Varane. What a team.
Lads, can you imagine being a centre forward being told to play up on your own against that back four and the two centre mids? You think you just walk off crying before you went on the pitch, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You would have got absolutely battered.
Yeah.
You're talking. Villarreal, didn't he, after that?
Yeah. So you're talking, those three centre backs, and then you've got Simeone in front of that, and then Zanetti was on the right hand side of midfield for some reason. He was a wing back, but
Varane,
it was just solid. Varane in there, you've Sardine on the left, so you're playing with Pochettino, Samuel, Placente, and then Simeone, Varane, Zanetti, and Bladen. Yeah,
Pochettino plays as one of the three centre halves, isn't he?
He's one of the centre halves. Yeah, he's the one that gives away the penalty, isn't he? Does he give away the penalty? I think he does.
It's just before half time, and Beckham, the massive amount of pressure on him, but he tucks it away, and it's game on. And look, England hang on to the 1-0. We've got Trevor Sinclair coming off the bench. We've got Teddy Sheringham coming off the bench. We've got Wayne Bridge coming off the bench. I mean, Jesus Christ, lads! I don't know how the hell we won that game 1-0 and lost the game against them 4 years previous with the team that they had.
The thing that stood out for me in this World Cup with England was that they got a lot of buy-in from the players with Sven. Sven was a very popular manager, wasn't he?
Very. And he
certainly with the players.
And he got much at that time. He was getting a much easier ride.
Yeah.
Than obviously, the likes of Graham Taylor. It'd all gone sour for Glenn Hoddle. It'd all gone a bit pear-shaped for Terry Venables. Even Keegan. So Sven, I know obviously, after Sven, or at the back end of Sven's reign, he's getting a much rougher time of it. But at that time, he's definitely got the press on his side.
The press and the players, it's a shit team. England went in there, fucking muck. I'm looking at them, and Trevor Sinclair comes on after 19 minutes for Owen Hargreaves, and they're still beating Argentina. You're joking me?
Yeah, man.
Danny Mills obviously had some sort of dirt on Sven-Göran Eriksson.
Yeah. They had a four-baller with some mock beforehand, I'd say.
What's going on there?
Dog's not happy.
Dogs are warm. Right, so we get to the last games. Sweden, Argentina, Nigeria, England, and as it turns out, 2 draws are the draws that are enough for Sweden and England to go through, and it's Sweden that topped the group through goals scored, which isn't ideal when it comes to the how the draw sort of maps out really for England. But we'll get on to that. The next group was Group G. Mexico winning the group, Italy, Croatia and Ecuador exiting. I think I mentioned it on the last podcast. Mexico always find a way of getting through from these groups.
Yeah, it's true.
They've a canny knack for it. I mean, Italy at that point, they've got
Bobo Vierdi is banging in goals again. We spoke about him in the last World Cup that he was horsing in goals left, right and centre, and he continues in this World Cup. You look back, you forget about how good a fucking player he was. He was amazing.
I just say one thing, and I don't know why this always sticks out in my head. This goal, one of the goals of the tournament, one of the most maddest goals I've ever seen. Fella playing for Mexico scored a goal against
Borghetti. header?
Borghetti. Yeah.
Oh,
It was mental. One of the most
Yeah.
unorthodox finishes I've ever seen in my life. And I
yeah.
remember-
Anyone that hasn't seen it, get on and Google it. It's unreal.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like that goal always stood out for me, even to this day. When I see that goal again, I go, "Fucking hell, that's unbelievable." That was a
Yeah.
quality goal.
He was in Buffons in goal as well, isn't he? He's just played and rooted to the spot. Unreal.
I think if I remember correctly, I think Del Piero got a penalty late on. I think I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, he does. I don't know if it's a
Yeah, he
penalty,
does.
it's a
Del
goal.
Piero gets a late penalty, and that's actually, only for that goal, Italy are going out because it would have been Croatia who would have gone through, I think, based on how the whole kind of tiebreaker situation would have panned out. So Italy go through from that group. Habitual slow starters, really. You never get fireworks from Italy in a group. They always reserve the best for later on in tournaments.
And who was the Italian manager at this World Cup?
Oh,
Lippi, no, it wasn't Lippi, was it?
Trapattoni.
Trapattoni.
That's
Okay. And then you get on to the last group, which is another one of the hosts: Japan, Belgium, Russia, and Tunisia. And again, the hosts are topping the group, and they are accompanied by Belgium, with Russia and Tunisia fallen by the wayside. Just looking at the Belgium side there, I mean, you think of, I know it's a long time since this World Cup, but even still, like when you think of the golden generation that Belgium have now compared to what they were bringing to tournaments.
Sam Boyton played for City, did he?
Yeah.
Big long hair lad.
He played for Bayern Munich as well for years.
Munich as
About
well,
6'7". He was a big stopper.
What was the striker's name?
And Wilmots was a machine, wasn't he?
Wilmots, that's him,
Yeah.
He was the coach at the last World Cup, wasn't he?
Yeah, true, yeah.
Was, yeah. He got 70 caps for them. That would have been pretty at the back end of his career, really.
Yeah, he was the captain for them in this World Cup.
Yeah.
Guy up front. He was a good player.
He was. So that's the end of the groups, and then we get on to the knockout stages. And the knockout stages, certainly the round of 16 is usually a mixed bag, and so it was here. Germany beating Paraguay 1-0 in the first game. Oliver Neuville with the goal. That was then followed by England against Denmark, and obviously Denmark had won their group. England had come second. Obviously, if you're going
remember that game,
if you're going to face a group winner, it wasn't a bad group winner to face. But obviously, it was knowing that England were on the same side of the draw as Brazil was the big kind of stumbling block, which we'll get to.
But you know what? We spoke in the last one. Sorry for cutting across you there, Ray. We spoke about the Danish team of France '98, where it had quality about them. They had the two Laudrup brothers. Brian was sort of at his peak, and Michael was having his swan song. He didn't have that quality this time. Yondal Thomason was there. Yondal Thomason was their sort of main man there, and he had a few guys around him, Romadal, Gronkjaer, but then it was all like Gravison, Stig Tofting. It was just lumps then.
Ebersand.
Yeah, it was just big lumps in around him, so it was a totally, you're right, you're getting any group winner out of that. They're the ones you pick like a bleeding light. Didn't even have a Schmeichel in goal for them, they had a Sorensen, so.
Yeah. And for having kind of struggled in the group, which I suppose you could expect coming up against the likes of Argentina and Sweden. I mean, England win this comfortably 3-0. Ferdinand, Owen, and Heskey. I don't think
past time
the group stage, had he?
No,
that was Owen's goal, probably his only goal, was it, of the tournament?
He might have got
one against Brazil.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry.
He got two, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah,
he got one against Brazil. Yeah.
Against Brazil, yeah. So that was his first goal in the tournament. You then go on to Sweden against Senegal. This was 1-1 after normal time, and it was a golden goal that won it by Henry Camara. Played a load of games for Wigan further down the line. Bounced around a lot of English teams, actually, didn't he? And then obviously you had Henrik Larsson scoring for Sweden in that game. So having come out of the group as winners, Sweden go out. You've then got obviously the Spain Ireland game. Yeah, give me a bit of context around this, lads.
Mendieta the bastard.
If you think back,
Ian Hart missed a penalty in the 90 minutes, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Is that right? Am I imagining that wrong? Or?
No, you're imagining that right. Yeah, Ian Hart missed a penalty.
Yeah, I remember being in the transport club for that now. It was fucking mental, down and crumbling. And there must have been about 4,000 people in the place. It was mental. And we actually played very well that day. With a good few chances. And it just looked like it was never going to happen. Robbie Keane had a couple of chances. And then we get the penalty, obviously, in the 90th minute. And then we probably should have fucking won it in extra time. We had chances again.
Yeah. Much better side we were, yeah. That's
right.
Yeah, we were just desperately unlucky that day, and it was the story of like, is this like the Spanish, the great pretenders, and we were going to be the ones to kind of to knock them out, and sadly it just never happened. A game there where Roy Keane would have made a fucking massive difference.
Yeah, true. Would have made a huge difference. Just that bit of steel and a bit of
quality. Keane had a lot of quality as well.
Kinslet and Holland were good in centre midfield. I suppose they would have had a fair bit of steel about them, but Keane wouldn't have let the heads dip. And I know they obviously didn't be steady in it up until the very end, but he would have pushing them. And I think the Spanish, I might be wrong, but I think they were starting to really tire or. They look, they were a bit bollocks or something. And
they were all edged.
And I'm looking at the penalty score, like Hierro's banging in a penalty and all in this. And Sean, you mentioned Mendieta coming up. Of all the Spanish squad, he was the one you didn't want to see stepping up for that fifth penalty because he was cool as a cucumber, that fella from the blading spot. Like once I saw him coming up, I'm like, the hope was gone. You knew he was a blade and he was a serial killer from penalties. There's no way he was going to miss that. And it turned out to be the case.
You touched on that, lads. Having Keane, if we had had Roy Keane that day, we all know world-class players can bring those around them up by 20, 30% even at times. They can make you play, like you're world-class yourself at times, just giving you that lift and looking them beside you. And it was a huge, huge loss that day. As Seany said, we were comfortably all over these that day. And imagine having that lift for a bit of confidence would have been absolutely off the wall.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it'll always be the great what could have been.
Yeah.
And 18 years later, that's the fucking last World Cup we played in, sadly, And then Spain go on then to play South Korea. Am I right?
They do.
Yeah, fucking. You're looking at a World Cup quarter final against South Korea.
I know. I mean, that would have been, you talk about expectation and all that's gone before from the previous World Cups. Can you imagine? I can't imagine what Ireland would have been like.
Not to belittle England at all, Ray, because I'm not actually one of them people. I'm the type of player I want to see England doing well at World Cups, but like the World Cup just passed there. When you're an England fan in Russia, you see that side of the tournament opening up, and you're like, oh well, look, fucking here's Sweden in a quarter final here, setting up a semi final with Croatia.
Yeah,
you start kind of thinking, you know what I mean? Tournaments like that can just open up for you.
Yeah, definitely.
And we've said it before, haven't we, Ray? Sorry, go ahead,
it would have
Sean.
been a 50-50 game.
Yeah.
Regardless of we are thinking,
You're
Jesus
spot on,
Christ,
Sean. Yeah. Because if any crowd could have sort of not nullified the South Korean crowd that I touched on earlier, the Irish would have been maybe the ones that, would have, out of any tournament, they'll get in and they'll fucking make their presence known, and it just wasn't to be.
Yeah, it would have been an unbelievable build-up, and had Ireland have found themselves in a semi-final of a World Cup, then I think
Row off.
You'd
Christ.
still be recovering. I reckon the country'd still be recovering. That's
But,
the sad fucking thing.
I mean, look, like, all 10 penalties are taken and 5 of them are missed.
Yeah.
I mean, there can't be that many times that kind of sequence plays out in a penalty shootout. It must have been, for Ireland fans in particular, it must have just been excruciating.
Yeah, it was. For me, anyway, as a kid, first real heartbreak as a football fan. As a kid, I was fucking devastated.
Yeah, I mean,
but then I'll be lying then if I said then the next day I shaved the front of my head and was supporting Brazil.
Why wasn't Niall Quinn taking a penalty in the shootout?
I don't know. I was probably trying to sell someone broadband or something.
Yeah. So that was the end of Ireland's tournament, and then the next day, just to kind of illustrate kind of anything was possible, the USA find themselves in the quarterfinal, beating Mexico, who always get out the group but always go no further, it seems. Brian McBride, Landon Donovan scoring 2-0 win for them, and they're in the quarters. Then you have Brazil, kind of no-nonsense 2-0 win against Belgium, Rivaldo and Ronaldo.
Again,
Ronaldo
it
at
was
this
just
is
ripping the tournament in half.
Yeah.
They're definitely building ahead of steam at this point. You then have Japan and Turkey. Again, someone unlikely is going to be in a quarter-final, and Turkey win that game 1-0 against Japan. And then you've got what was probably, the biggest shock. You have South Korea beating Italy 2-1 on the golden goal.
Young one scored. Some young one scored in the extra time, didn't she?
Yeah. A young one.
And
there was a bit of controversy there, wasn't there?
Loads of controversy in this.
That was the first of the dodgy decisions, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was. The referee for this one got fucking lashed out of Ecuadorian. They disallowed, I think, a couple of goals for Italy. In this, and they were. And the same with the Spanish one later on. There was goals getting disallowed that shouldn't have been disallowed. It was weird. It really this game and the next South Korean game, it was a huge shadow over it. If it hadn't have been such a minnow of a team, it would have been uproar. Do you know what I mean? Like the fact that it was only a little South Korea and they're the hosts, I think they got a bit of leeway because some of the fucking decisions were terrible. Like Italy scored a goal.
And then there was a goal.
He went mad. That was sent off.
Yeah, he got sent off for diving or something.
Yeah, he got 2 yellow cards. He gets sent off in extra time, actually. And it got,
for an alleged dive.
The goal
that was 40 yards away from play. The match report says, "Fucking hell."
Yeah, the golden goal. They equalised with 2 minutes to go. So that in itself, getting to extra time, was a bit of an achievement. I suppose in a similar way for Ireland getting the extra time against Spain, but for South Korea to go on and get the golden goal with 3 minutes to go before the penalties were looming. It's just I guess no one really would have seen that coming. And Italy again, Italy's team is just littered with stars, isn't it?
Yeah.
absolutely littered all the way through from Buffon, through to Del Piero. It's just.
I'm looking at it there. The Mark Giuliano playing centre back in that game for them. I'm not blaming him, but earlier on in the tournament, you had Cannavaro and
the Milan back for Keto, didn't they?
Maldini. Yeah, it was a really good team, and back then Italy were always coming. They were always pulling players, one player out of a mid-ranking Italian team. And Tomasi could have been in this one. Just comes out of nowhere and looks a cracking player. In the middle of the pitch. They were a good team, Italy, back then as well. Gattuso and Bellivio coming on for them. They really were a good team. And I was looking at the report there. South Korea got a dodgy penalty at the start of it that Buffon saves. Italy had a golden goal ruled out as well. They were unlucky, but I suppose Italy, under Trapattoni, we've seen firsthand what Trapattoni teams play like. Maybe they weren't brave enough, I don't know.
I remember this being a huge controversy for Blatter at the time. He was that evening or the day after. He caused absolute panic with comments. He was for him to say this is hilarious, but he said the game was corrupt. imagine that damn words from Sepp Blatter, but however,
hot on the kettle black.
Yeah, and then we get on to the quarterfinals. And I mean, usually, we looking back at the previous tournaments, quarterfinals are generally, blockbusters. All 4 games, absolute blockbusters. And really, the only kind of blockbuster really was the England Brazil game, which was the first game. And look, Michael Owen scores England goal.
That was 7:30 in the morning, that game, wasn't it? That was an early one.
It was an early kick-off, yeah. It was the early kick-offs, yeah. England go 1-0 up, but it wasn't to be because Rivaldo equalises.
Ronaldinho does great in that, doesn't he? Bleeding dances through a few step overs and a slide in. And the Rivaldo finish was very... I think Salah's got a couple like that as well when he just come on to them and just passing it. Yeah, great finish.
They turned it on that day, didn't they, Brazil, after England went 1-0. And then, obviously, did he mean it?
Well,
what do you reckon?
100% he meant it.
I think he meant it as well.
Yeah, well, look, when we seen the stuff that he went on to do for probably 10 years in the game after that, it'd be hard to say he didn't mean it, you know what I mean? And then he got sent off, didn't he?
Yeah,
7 minutes later. I should actually forgotten about.
I didn't know that until today. That's the God honest truth. I watched the highlights today, and then
straight red as well.
Straight red.
Yeah. I think it was reckless, wasn't it? It was a reckless challenge, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, England had over half an hour, against 10 men. And they still couldn't manage it. I mean, that's not a surprise to me when you look at
bringing off the bench.
Yeah, exactly.
Michael Owen coming off at Darius Vassell.
Kieran Dyer's on, Darius Vassell's on, and you'll have to roll the dice as Teddy Sheringham. Yeah.
You know what's great crack, lads? Paul Scholes gives away the free kick with an absolute stupid tackle.
So unlike him.
Very, very unlike him. It's just comedy.
Thinking you're looking there though, that Brazil back three, you'd have a rough time beat that Brazil team for how good they were going forward. Lucio, Edemilson, Roque Jr. 3 animals in the back.
Yeah, 100%.
And then you can caveat that with basically saying they probably had the 2 greatest fullbacks of all time then.
Yeah.
Well, until Andy Robertson and Trent.
Yeah, until we found our own. But
Well, these two revolutionised the fullback at this time, in fairness.
When you look at that Brazil team, like that's for want of a better term, the last of the samba. After that, they were chasing it for years, and they had to become more pragmatic because the quality just started to wane a little bit, and they were pinning the house on the likes of Robinho, and they never had that cutting edge like that.
But not only that, Sean, you touched on the defence there as well, right, about them being savages at the back, right, the centre-backs. And Milson and Lucio are good ball players as well, and Milson gets a bleeding cracker in this World Cup, like an overhead kicker.
He was at Leverkusen at the time, wasn't he?
Leverkusen, him and Ballack.
They were really, really good, you know, so the ball players all over the place, you know, they were really, really good. And this one actually, the Cleberson playing in midfield with Gilberto. So it was nearly like, right, you two sit there and the rest just do as a thing around that. Because
what a team.
It was a really good team.
Yeah, and you mentioned Ballack there, and the next game is Germany against the USA, and Ballack gets the winner. 1-0, probably closer than maybe some people would have expected. But you know, USA had a great tournament getting to that stage, and then we get on to the real controversial game, which is mentioned. You know, Spain. You know, I know Ireland had taken them all away, but I think everyone would still have expected them to come through against South Korea. 0-0 after extra time. Still 0-0.
He had two perfectly goals chalked off in that game as well.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Like
Helguera was one, wasn't it?
Yeah, like we sit here these days and we whinge about the likes of VAR and all being 2-10. But like when you seen the carry on at that tournament,
it was unreal.
I'd imagine that's when the conversation of VAR probably started, to be honest, as early as then.
You wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was like sort of the inception of even the thought of bringing in sort of technology to help officials with some of these decisions, because when you look back, like it's fucking bonkers. It's just kind of like it's like when you were playing football with your mates down the park and someone got the last goal and you were like, no, it didn't go in, and like, well, play on, like, you know what I mean?
Went over the top.
Yeah, that game was going on until South Korea won it, and that's basically what happened in the end.
I mean, Morientes gets a golden goal, but it gets disallowed because the linesman flags that the ball went out of play on the cross, nowhere near it.
No, you know it's about 5 yards inside the line.
Helguera nearly battered the referee after, do you remember?
Yeah, there was more
that's right. It was madness, but you know, you're right, it was, we're playing this until South Korea fucking
it's like next goal the winner, but only if it's South Korea sort of thing, like, you know.
Yeah, it would have been interesting at Ireland being playing in that game, and yous were robbed. Wouldn't be the first time you were robbed, would it? Let's
not get into that. All right, that's for the next episode, and I won't fucking do that.
So South Korea get through, and the last game, Senegal against Turkey. I can't believe you were talking some of these teams in World Cup quarter-final.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a barn burner.
0-0 after extra time, and a golden goal for Turkey 4 minutes in. And that gets you your last four. You know, Senegal would have been happy enough getting to a quarter-final. And it leaves us with Germany against South Korea in one semi-final, and Brazil against Turkey in the other.
I always remember this being a good World Cup, but when I look at it on paper, it looks like it's absolutely poison.
I think it was good from the perspective that you had a few different, teams coming to the fore. But when you think about some of the teams that fell by the wayside, and you look back at some of the squads, and you look back at, some of the stars who, were in teams that got dumped out in one way or the other. I suppose when you look and you start getting down to back end of the tournament, you're thinking, because you are essentially deprived of those quarterfinals that always are the ones you kind of look forward to.
Yeah.
You kind of know semis are going to be cagey. The final is often cagey. But the quarters, for me, are the ones that really bring out the four best games in the tournament, generally. And we were kind of robbed of that. But, Germany, South Korea is the next game. And finally, South Korea's kind of luck runs out, albeit it's only 1-0 and it takes a goal from Ballack 15 minutes from time to get the job done for Germany.
He was really good, wasn't he, in this World Cup, Ballack?
Yeah, he dragged them through the show.
He really
He's just been continuing his form from Leverkusen as well, because they've been really good.
Was that the year they got beaten by Madrid in the Champions League?
Got
the volley.
Jesus, that's fucking. About the quarterfinals were 1-0, weren't they?
Yeah,
the semis were 1-0. Yeah, the semis were 1-0. Yeah, you get on to Brazil 1-0 against
Ronaldo scores. Yeah,
Ronaldo scoring in that one.
Great goal as well. Another one in the fucking. Just a ridiculous goal. Another reminder that we're just absolutely robbed of that fella.
Yeah.
Ever reaching his true potential. Like, he just toe-poked it, didn't he, into the bottom corner. And that was at the stage where every kid in the street wanted to be Ronaldo, you know what I mean? And like, this is the sort of stuff that when people refer to him, it's the real Ronaldo, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I know he gets the whole fat Ronaldo jibe, but for me, he's the Ronaldo. He is the Ronaldo.
The haircut, the boots.
Yeah, everything was him, and you're dead right, Shawnee. It was the ads and all that. It was the airport ad and all, wasn't it? It was all the stars were involved in it, but it led to Ronaldo. R9, he was the man. Did he have them boots as well? Then R9
the silver ones
as well. Yeah, blue and yellow and silver things. They were laying crackers.
And then I remember, like, after what happened in France '98 and the fallout there, there's like the kid, how like you talked about on the last part what happened, but there was rumours he had took a turn and all in the dressing room. For him to just come back onto the scene like this, like looking as fit as he ever looked, I think it was sort of like a justice, like poetic justice, the way he came back around. And it was literally all about him.
And I think that's what sort of maybe clouds all our memories of this World Cup being a good World Cup, was that Brazil were really good in it. You know what I mean? Like they were, there was loads of flair from them. Rivaldo were playing cracking goal in this tournament. One of the earlier games, he got a fucking beaut in it. Ed Milton got a beaut. Ronaldo's got a couple of beauts. Ronaldinho gets his goal. There was so much flair by Brazil. And when we're looking back at it now, everything else was shy.
Yeah. I mean, Brazil win all their games. They're not scratching around looking for golden goals or going through on penalties. Like, this is a proper, we come on to the final. This is a proper win, from a proper team.
They conceded how many in the entire tournament?
They conceded a couple against Costa Rica, but they beat them 5-2 in that game.
Yeah, and then I think
they conceded
one against England.
They actually conceded 3 in the group.
That was it.
3 in the group and one in the knockouts. So conceding 4 goals and 2 of them being in a 5-2 bashing. It's a fairly complete tournament. You end up with the. You end up with the top scorer, with Ronaldo getting 8 goals. 8 goals is higher than normal. We
you're talking about 6, isn't it? It's usually the benchmark.
He ends up with 8.
Rivaldo had 5.
So look, Germany, Brazil, 2-0. ultimately 2 goals in the second half from Ronaldo.
That was Ronaldo against Khan, wasn't it, in the build-up? I remember, I know Ballack was great, but the build-up was like Ronaldo against Oliver Kahn, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Can have been amazing, Shawnee, for Germany in that tournament. He was pulling off, even against us. I think so. Yeah, even against us, Shawnee. You know, I remember him pulling off saves against Robbie Keane, and there was one, I think, from Matt Holland in that game. But Khan was unbelievable in that tournament.
The thing about Khan, his saves were always very dramatic, weren't he, throughout his career? You know, he'd make saves with his face and, you know, plucking them out of all. You know what I mean? He was very much, he had a face alright that he was getting whacked with 20 shots a game. But he was a very dramatic keeper, you know what I mean? And you're right, they had gone into that. I thought, Ballack had been their best player, but Khan was the one that was in the group games and all, saving them and getting them in. And it was Ronaldo versus Khan. And when you think about the other players that Brazil had, like we said, you're talking Rivaldo had 5 goals. Most other years, that's a shoe-in for a shot at the Golden Boot as well. We've Ronaldinho back in here. You know, there's so much talent on show, but it was
something major happens for Germany in that game as well. Hitler wouldn't have been too happy. Yeah. Gerald Asamoah becomes one of the first black players to play for Germany.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he comes on as a sub, yeah. But look, 2-0 to Brazil. I think, you know, I suppose you were saying, Shawnee, about it being, you know, looking back at it as a great World Cup. At least we had the showcase final, you know, the two, you know,
big nations.
In the final, which doesn't always happen. And then, obviously, the player of the tournament. I mean, we talked about the last final, you know, being the Zidane final. When it, you know, was billed as Zidane versus Ronaldo, and this one, you know, turns out to be the Ronaldo final.
He was just unbelievable in that game. The 2 goals were straight from the top drawer and turning up like it was like the completion of like a redemption arc. They had been robbed of the opportunity 4 years previous. Like it was written in the stars for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was unbelievable, and that will be his, like, he never won a Champions League, Ronaldo, and there's talk like some people consider him the greatest to ever play the game. And like, when you look at him in that form, he was just outrageous, unbelievable. I think he got a move to Real Madrid off the back of this, didn't he?
Yeah. Does, yeah. Jimmy Traore's won a Champions League, by the way.
He's more Champions League than Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Right, so look, we'll wrap that up as our World Cup review for 2002, but we have still got one thing left to do, and it is the quiz. It's the proper quiz. It's not the made-uppy Phil 5-second quiz. This is the proper quiz. Right, so pen and paper at the ready. What we've got tonight is a bit of a mixed bag of 10 questions. A possible 17 points from them 10 questions. So without further ado, question number 1. Which other nation, aside from Japan and South Korea, were bidden to host the 2002 World Cup? And I'll give you multiple choice on this one. Was it A, Argentina, B, Mexico, or C, Brazil?
I know this one.
Okay. Question number 2. There were 2 things in this which this World Cup included for the last time. Can you name them?
Go again. Sorry, Dicko.
Yeah, there were 2 things, so 2 aspects within this last World Cup which were included. So the World Cup of 2002 was the last time a couple of aspects were incorporated into the makeup of the tournament. Two things. Point for each.
Oh, we do.
Okay. Question number 3. In his career, how many clubs did South Africa's Lucas Radebe play for? And I give you multiple choice on this. Is it A, 2 clubs, B, 3 clubs, or C, 4 clubs?
He was at Leeds for a long time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was. Right, number 4. Question number 4. Right, there's 3 points on offer here. Name the countries from which the following referees are from. Okay.
Oh, motherfuck.
Three World Cup referees. Okay. First one is Anders Frisk, who I think refereed Ireland's game with Spain. I seen that.
A handsome man.
He was a regular in the Champions League as well. I seem to remember, wasn't he? Yeah. Second one is Urs Maya. And the third one is Brian Hall.
Right.
Happy enough with that.
Okay. So, question.
Is Anders Frisk the fella that looked a bit like Klopp?
The blondie fella with a
The
tan.
blondie fella, yeah. Nice tan.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the right fella then, yeah.
Right, question number 5. Which 2 European nations were making their first appearances in a World Cup since 1986?
Since 86.
Okay, question number 6. Slovenia and Senegal made their World Cup debuts in 2002, but there were 2 others. Point for each if you can name the other 2.
Who did you say? Slovenia and Senegal?
Slovenia and Senegal had made their debut in that World Cup. There were 2 others. Point for each. Okay, question number 7. Turkey scored the fastest goal in World Cup history in the 3rd place playoff against South Korea.
Oh, I know it is.
Was it after, it's multiple choice, was it after A, 10.8 seconds, B, 12.8 seconds, or C, 14.8 seconds?
What was the first option?
10.8 seconds was A.
Yeah.
And then B, 12.8, and C, 14.8. Question number 8. Ronaldo was the Golden Boot winner with 8 goals. There were 2 players who were joint second. Name them. Point for each.
The top scorers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, 2 players tied for second top scorer. Yeah. Point for each. Okay, question number 9. After the tournament, FIFA published the ranking of each individual team for the tournament. So everyone was given a position at the end of the tournament. Obviously going from Brazil first, Germany second, and so on. So what position did Ireland come? I've got multiple choice on this for you.
Yeah.
So did Ireland officially finish A, 12th, B, 13th, or C, 14th? And then the last one, question number 10, point for each. So can you name, and there's obviously limited options here, whichever combination you go for. Name the country which the opening game was played in and the country the final was played in. Yeah. Okay.
Keep thinking, I'm thinking out loud.
Giving the game away.
Right, okay. So I'll get on to the answers. So the way this works is you shout me your answers and I will let you know the correct answer after that, and I'll allocate the points accordingly. So question number 1, which nation was bidden to host the 2002 World Cup? What you go for, lads?
I have Brazil written down. I think it's wrong.
Mexico.
Argentina.
Brazil.
Mexico.
Oh, so we covered everyone here, did we? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. The correct answer was B, Mexico.
Yeah.
So Keith with a point there. Okay, 2 things that this World Cup included for the last time.
Goal and goal.
Goal and goal.
Goal.
That's all I got was golden goal. Couldn't even think of a second one.
Golden goal. Okay, so everyone's got golden goal, which is correct. Yeah. Anyone else with a second one?
I misunderstood the question, but I said it was the last time that there was 2 host nations for the World Cup.
It is, but that wasn't what I was looking for. I'll give you half a point.
What's the second part?
The second part is it's the last tournament that the winners were guaranteed qualification.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The winners obviously have to qualify and have had to qualify ever since that tournament. And France may as well have not qualified. Right. In his career, how many clubs did South Africa's Lucas Radebe play for?
I went for 2.
We went for 2.
You went for 2. Gar?
2.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah. Okay. Right. The referees, name the countries from which the following referees are from. So Anders Frisk.
Swedish.
What did you say, Gar?
Swedish.
Yeah, it's Swedish as well.
Yeah, like Sweden, yeah.
Okay. Erzmeyer?
Switzerland.
Who said Germany?
Me.
That's wrong, Shawnee. It's Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Googling.
No, it wasn't. Did Erzmeyer, did he get death threats from the English in a tournament?
Yep, the one after, wasn't it?
Yeah, did he disallow something and he got death threats? That's the only
Lampard's goal, wasn't it?
Was it Lampard?
Yes, the one that crossed the line against Germany, wasn't it?
He definitely got death threats off something. That's how I know him.
Yeah.
And I went for Wales for the third fella.
Oh, okay, Wales.
I went for USA because Hugh Dallas was Scottish and what's his name was the English one.
Who was the English one for this?
Small fat fucker.
Dorkin. Winter.
No.
Winter.
No, it'll come back to me, but it's definitely not, because obviously Hugh Dallas was a Scottish and there was no Hall. I don't remember name. So USA was the one that stood out to me.
Atkinson. No.
It was USA. So
USA, yeah. We had that.
Yeah. Okay, so question number 5. Which 2 European sides making the first appearance in the World Cup since 96?
Sweden and Belgium.
I went Turkey and Portugal.
Okay.
I went Turkey and Belgium.
Okay. So the correct answer was Portugal and Poland.
Jesus.
So Keith and Gar with a point there, was it?
No.
No, what do you
Oh,
said
got
Portugal?
one.
We
I
got
Portugal,
nothing. We got nothing. Only Belgium and Turkey, lads.
Oh, okay, so it was Keith who had Portugal, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, Portugal and Turkey.
Yeah. Okay. So Slovenia and Senegal made their World Cup debuts. Name the other 2.
China, Ecuador.
China, Ecuador, Shawnee.
I had China and South Korea.
I had China and South Korea.
South Korea had done a few before this, boys. Literally previous.
Yeah, it
I
was.
wasn't even thought of, Keith. I wasn't even thought of. Showing your age now, man.
So it was China and Ecuador. Keith was spot on there. Shawnee with 1. Right, the fastest goal in World Cup history. How is it A, B, or C, lads?
10.8.
I went for B. What's B?
12.8.
12.8 for Keith. What was the others?
10.8 from me, Gar.
10.8 from Gar.
11 seconds it would have been, yeah.
Shawnee?
12.8 for me.
12.8. Okay, the right answer was A, 10.8. So it was Gar with a point there.
Well done, Gar.
Yeah, very good. Ronaldo was the goal boot winner. Who were the other 2?
Rivaldo Close.
Yeah, that's what I had. Klaus or Rivaldo.
Gar?
Yeah. Same as.
All same. Okay, so that's right. So you all get 2 there. Right. FIFA. The FIFA published ranking for Ireland. What did you go with?
12th.
14.
Oh, okay. Slightly difference of opinion there.
I think it was 12th because we were the only side to be beaten on penalties, I think, in the round of 16.
Yeah.
The correct answer is indeed 12th.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think they take the group. They take into account the group as well, because Mexico and Denmark actually finished above Ireland. It's all a bit of a nonsense, really. I didn't even realise they did it, to be honest with you. I'll have a closer look into it. Okay, so that was
What was it? 12, was it?
Yeah, 12th. Shawnee and who else got it?
Keith. Yeah.
Keith. Okay.
Keith, run away here. Will you give me bonus points for name of the cities? Because I think we can.
So can I.
You don't need to be a prick.
So a point for each. The opening game was in
Korea.
Seoul and Korea.
Yeah.
Okay, so you all said Korea for that, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And final?
Yokohama, Japan.
Yeah.
Japan. All said Japan, yeah?
Yeah.
Right, very good. Right, so if I top this up, I think we can say that Shawnee came in third place.
Yeah. guess who's not Googling, Ray? You know what I mean? Yeah, it's all about humility in these dark times, Ray, you know?
Well, in fairness, I don't like, if I have won this, I don't like that there'll be an asterisk against me win. We usually do have a camera on. We usually have cameras on for this, so...
Yeah, this is behind closed doors, boys. This is the future.
A joyless victory. Get used to it.
Right, I said I was close with me and Seany, was it? Must have been about a point, didn't it?
Yeah, I'm still.
We only got 12, I think.
I'm still totting these up. So look, let me just run through this. So we got Keith got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I think it looks like Keith's got you there, Gar. Yeah. I'll give you the final scores in a minute, but I think I can safely declare Keith as the winner this week, yeah?
Yeah.
Well done, Keith.
Fair play, lads.
No, I will put it down to it is superior football knowledge. The fucking fella could tell you what Blake and Colour Jocks fucking Del Piero had on in the third place playoff and fucking Euro 2000, whatever he was beating or something. The fella knows fucking...
He went commando.
Stop. Anyway, boys, it was good.
Yeah, great stuff. Good to have a chat again. You know, it's important we we fill our time in the absence of Liverpool. Quick question before you all go, lads. Gonna ask you all individually because it is a Liverpool podcast at the end of the day. Does this league season get finished? I'll start with you, Keith, and in what circumstances?
Yeah, I think it'll get finished. But I think it'll be behind closed doors. Me and Gav were talking about it during the night. I think they'll just rush to get it done behind closed doors. It'll be a joyless, soulless victory. There'll be no celebrating, no pubs opened.
No.
It'll be a bit of a pain in the bollocks, but once they get it wrapped up, I don't care.
Yeah, I've been thinking like that for a long time, but days like today when, as I said at the start, we would have been out there strutting our stuff as champions.
Yeah,
it kind of brings it. It does start to bring it home a little bit. Gar, do you see us?
Yeah, I think. Do
you see the season get? Do you see the season getting finished yourself? Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I think just in regards to the TV revenues and all that sort of stuff, and what the lads have been discussing on their pod, I think without a doubt it gets finished. The money thing seems to be the thing that wants to finish it, and then we've obviously got information that other leagues are trying to get back into gear and get back training now. I think Germany is it who are going back to 5th of May or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I 100% see it being finished. Yeah, I mean it's just down to revenue for me.
Yeah, whether it's the right thing or not isn't even the question. It'll be the money that'll dictate it.
100%.
Yeah, and Seany, I think you're probably the least optimistic at the moment on these things. So I'll ask you in a slightly different way. If this turned out to be a season that I'm not even going to go into null and void. If this turned out to be a season that was declared finished and whatever happened in other parts of the league in terms of Champions League, in terms of relegation, I'm not really asked. If this was declared finished and done and Liverpool were champions with that dreaded asterisk next to the name, would it bother you at all?
Yeah, massively. Like, I have to say, I waited all my life for this, and even if it was to play out behind closed doors, I don't think I could go up for it.
Yeah.
That's the boat I'm in. I haven't been thinking much about football, to be honest, in the last couple of weeks, but when I do think about it, it's just shit. It's just crap. Like, you're seeing the other day, the photograph of the parade last year won photograph of the year.
Yeah.
The world photograph of the year. Like, any picture taken last year, the one of the Liverpool fans celebrating the Champions League final win that moment that was captured was voted the best of the year, and you can only imagine what it would have been like, right?
Yeah.
Celebrating the first league title, and I don't want to be negative about it, but for me, it's massively mad. Like, I was thinking today, I was even watching today Premier League years, and I'm thinking, like, what are they going to do next year?
Yeah.
Are they just going to show a lot of highlights from the back end of the season, games behind closed doors?
Yeah.
No, they'll show it all from our bleeding 25-point lead that we got up beforehand. They wouldn't taint it for me in the sense that, I wouldn't look at it with an asterisk. I think it's only right that Liverpool will be allowed to win the league without it being voided. But for the players, it's not, and the fans not to be able to celebrate that. For the players not to have that moment of lifting the cup in front of fans is a kick in the bollocks for them.
Yeah, I think, you and I, Seany, we were privileged to go over to Madrid, and we didn't even get into the ground. We didn't even get within sniffing distance of the ground, but it wasn't important, and it was what we experienced.
Yeah, but it's even the next day. You can look at the photos of the players. Like, what are they gonna do? Like, we don't even know the semantics yet. Like, this could be played in fucking St. George's Park.
Yeah.
Like, it could be. Like, there's no guarantee that they're going to even play in Anfield again this year.
Yeah, true.
Like,
especially with the possibility, Seany, of crowds, loads of fucking crowds turning up.
Like, we don't know. Like, that's what I'm saying. The whole thing is just mired in uncertainty. That, like, I can't, like, obviously when those settles, we'll be Premier League champions and we'll have a lovely gold badge on the side of the jersey next year. But this isn't what any of us envisioned, is it?
Yeah.
No, not at
all.
all.
And that's why for me it'll be.
But the only thing I would say, the fact we were so far ahead. Do you know what I mean? It's not like Like, it's not like a 6-point lead and it's like, well, you won it, but everyone knows we're gonna fucking win it and we deserve to win it. 2 wins away or whatever it is, so
but like, they won't even talk about, like, that's the thing, Keith. They won't even talk about what's gone ahead. Like, we were putting together arguably the greatest individual season any side in England has ever done.
True.
Forget about Invincible for a minute, because we were bound to smash fucking record. But, like, who knows how it's going to play out now? Like, it's a bit shit. Like,
it is.
It's especially for Klopp and the players now. The solace you take from it is that, look, fucking, we may well go on and win it again next year, and then it'll be a fucking right jolly up. But there's just, like, no guarantees in football.
Exactly, yeah.
The last couple of weeks have just showed that. Like, so for me, look, I don't want to sound like a fucking Debbie Downer, but it's massively mad for me as it is, because I had envisaged this in my head 1,000,001 ways since I can remember.
Yeah,
like,
and this wasn't one of the 1,000,001 ways that you pictured it.
Yeah. Which is fair enough. If Seany's way does go, lads, it will be shit for 2020 when you look in the asterisk beside Liverpool's title win, and then you'll have the LFC Day Trippers podcast quiz, and you'll have an asterisk beside Keith Plunkett. It'd be hilarious, won't it?
And it'll be the same answer for both. It'll be like,
we will publish on Twitter.
It definitely won't. I'll give it. I reckon there's zero possibility that null and void happens. Like, I don't think that. It's just not feasible. Like, it's
no.
It's short and by a lot of self-interested focus.
Yeah, the thing is with Twitter, it's an echo chamber. Like, the only football institution that's playing this out in public, it has been the EFL and the Premier League.
Yeah.
Like, I think La Liga only sat down for the first time today to discuss what was going to happen, and they've been completely in the dark there, whereas every Friday they just seem to be getting together and going, oh well, we'll see.
No news.
There's no news.
I mean, even the Scotland decision there, that's a completely different outcome that they've reached. But again, what was behind it? It was financial. I mean, they had to come up with something for those divisions outside of the Premier League, so that those clubs could get the final end of season payments and survive into next season.
Behind closed doors might work for Premier League sides, but I can imagine that there's plenty of championship sides and League One and League Two sides that it just doesn't suit either behind closed doors, because they will, like, you look at here, the GAA will not entertain closed doors at all because they make up so much of the revenue. And I'd imagine that's what's going to happen. And so even like if it comes to behind closed doors for League One and League Two clubs, like they'll still struggle. So like if you take a Liverpool tints off here for a minute, like thinking about Liverpool is the easy part. It's easy to give someone a title when they're 25, 26 points ahead in a title race. Yeah. But when you're looking at the likes of fucking Coventry City, who have a chance of going into the Championship, if their season is null and voided, they could be going bust.
That's right. Yeah, their chairman has said that. Like, they're fucked if that gets voided. Because, they put a season together, you know what I mean, to get into the position they're in. And all of a sudden, no. Or even Leeds in the Championship. I mean, they must be bleeding on the burst of the bubble about to burst if they don't get up as well. Bielsa's still there, you know what I mean? They put a lot into getting up this year, so...
Yeah, I mean, some of those teams as well in Championship and League One and League Two. I mean, they would have, there'd been teams there that would have got to playoffs. Some would have got extra revenue through that. Games at Wembley, that won't take place now. Like there's so many kind of things that have been impacted by this. I mean, even go back to the Premier League. Think about the relegation. Watford and Bournemouth. There's one goal separating them. Yeah. I mean, if you do call an end to the season and we are awarded the league because they don't find a way of playing the games, are we going to end up with 22 teams? Because 2 teams will come up, and all that goes with that in terms of trying to fit in extra games. It's
and then you'll have fucking Nottingham Forest saying, well, we were in with a shout. Like the Championship playoff spots is a fucking bottleneck.
Yeah.
So, there's no way this is null and voided. Like, pay no attention to the shite you're seeing on Twitter. There's no way it'll be cancelled, but there's a chance it'll be cancelled, but it won't be null and voided. The season won't be just
finish where you are now, and wherever you are, that's it. I know he was only saying this to Gav on one of the shows. They might just start looking and saying, can we get this finished now? And then looking to give payoffs to, the teams that are most affected by relegation and all, get them an extra few quid or whatever to tie them over and shut them up. But then even the Champions League qualification is madness, you know what I mean? There's fucking loads of them trying to get in there as well. You've Sheffield United, Wolves up there chasing it with United, Spurs. There's a lot still to sort out.
Yeah, there's teams in those scenarios like Sheffield United that you mentioned there, even Leicester, who are pretty much guaranteed a Champions League spot. There's teams like that. We say about Liverpool going again next season and winning the league. They're unlikely to find themselves in those positions with 9 games to go. In a new season. It's a 1 in maybe 10, 20 year opportunity for someone like particularly Sheffield United.
Oh yeah. Once in a blue moon job, whereas Leicester, they won the league a few years ago and they're a well set up, settled squad and all that. Sheffield United are, to catch lightning in a bottle twice. They caught a lot of teams off guard this year, and if you're just going to avoid that and say, "Oh no, go again," tough one to do.
Yeah. So look, we'll see how this all plays out in the coming weeks. Gav, I'm sure will keep his finger on the pulse and have his shows talking about the latest developments as they happen. But hopefully we will get back at the very least behind closed doors. Well, I think it can only be behind closed doors now. I don't see any. Even at the start of next season, we might not be getting to go to Liverpool games, which is it's another blow, isn't it? But look, thanks, lads. It's been another good show reviewing the World Cup. We may well spin on to 2006 next week. So from me, Ray, thanks, Keith.
Pleasure as always.
Yeah, thanks, Gar.
Pleasure, mate. Thank you.
And thanks to Seany FC.
No problem, bud. Thank you. Nice one, lads. Take it easy.
See you
Thanks,
later.
Look, bye.